Good morning. So I've just stepped onto the Camel trail from Wadebridge, heading towards Padstow. In about 3.5 days' time, I hope to be at Land's End. So, bit of a longer walk than I've done before, I suppose, but hopefully it should be a bit of good fun. Ground is going to be pretty wet today, but the weather should be mostly dry. It is going to be quite windy though, according to the forecast. So try and walk at a good pace this morning. Make quick progress along this flat section so that I have a bit more flexibility, I guess, with the speed that I need to walk at later in the day, when it's going to be a lot more difficult terrain. The days are getting a lot shorter now. I guess there's about roughly 10 hours where it's light enough outside to be out without a torch. Of course, I do have a torch with me, so I don't need to worry too much about that. But I will be aiming to be walking between 7 o'clock in the morning and 5 o'clock in the evening. That should give me as much light as possible. I have set off just after 7 this morning. Of course, I've done the route from Wadebridge to Newquay quite a few times before, so I know exactly what to expect today. I've also done basically the entire route overnight as well, so if it does come to doing it in the dark, I also know what to expect. But that shouldn't be a problem that I have to face today. From my planning, I expect to be walking just less than 50k for 4 days. So we'll see how I cope with that. I've done 3 days in a row before without any real issues, so hopefully it's fine. Not too much of a puddle here this morning, thankfully. That's one spot where quite a lot of water will gather if it's wet. There are these little channels alongside the path that will almost always be full of water in the winter. Bit of shelter from the wind again. There's been a lot of wind resistance in the more open areas. It is very windy. Can be difficult to walk against. just arriving into Padstow, then onto the coast, where I will be walking for the rest of the day until I get to Newquay. About 10k in after hour and 36 minutes, which is a decent walking pace. Want to average about 5 kilometers per hour during the daylight hours. Should give me enough time to do roughly 50 while it's light, which is as much as I need to do each day. So if I can walk at this kind of pace on the flatter sections, then I can afford to be a bit slower when I'm going up steeper stuff. Now just coming down to the coast. Feels like walking along the coast is basically what I live for. So hopefully having a few days of it is going to be enjoyable. So we'll be walking against the wind for most of the day. Hoping it won't be too bad. I think the wind is supposed to calm down a bit later in the day, at least. Particularly up on the cliffs, it may get really quite windy up there. Sometimes that does make it significantly more difficult. I guess there were like a couple of times in the summer where I did have to walk through some quite strong wind. When I did this walk overnight, it was very windy at times then, and there was another time where I was walking and there was a weather warning for wind. That one was particularly bad. We'll see how it is today. Going to walk through the dunes. Avoid the muddy part of the trail there. I dislike sand maybe even more than mud, but I don't want to risk slipping over That would slow me down. I want to try and keep the pace up while I can this morning, because I won't have a lot of choice later on about walking down some muddy parts of the trail. So, is this river passable? I think so. It's basically too muddy to go around the way I would normally go. Which is like out around the field and come through that way. Very nice and wet up here. So there's something that I've learned after almost 2 years of walking long distances. That trail running shoes are probably better walking shoes than like hiking boots. I don't think I would go back to wearing boots for longer distances anymore. There are probably certain situations where the boots are better, like, I don't know, very wet sand or particularly rocky paths, but in general I think trail running shoes are just way more comfortable over the course of the day. Not avoiding this mud. Looks like the livestock have been up here. I think if there's anywhere that I would describe as like my happy place, it's probably just along here. As I've said many times, I do love the view. could end up being a difficult one. Stays like this, it'll be quite a difficult walk all day long. If it does calm down a bit later on, it won't be too bad. Soaked. That's what I've been worried about, more so than like actual rain. It's all the spray from the sea. When it's really windy like today, walking through that is like really heavy rain. Except it's also salt water, so it's like sticky. Quick sandwich and drink, so continuing on from Trevone. Taking the road up from Harlyn because the sand by the steps down onto the beach has collapsed, so it's either go this way or walk through the river. Don't much feel like walking through the river today. Rejoining the coast. Some more nice mud. Done an okay job of avoiding too much mud so far. I expect there to be some unavoidable bits up here though. Going up to Traverse Head, there's that narrow part of the path, which is always muddy. Just under a month from the Christmas run from Fourth Beach to Harlan and back, so I guess most of the rest of today I can use as a bit of an opportunity to assess the state of the paths. Obviously there's still plenty of time for it to change in the coming month. Could be a bit drier, could be wetter, don't know yet. Have to see what the weather does. I guess it'll be good to look out for any bits where the path is falling away or anything, since whenever it was that I last came from or went to Newquay. This little bit is fun when it's slippery and there are people coming in both directions. Which there will be in that run, because it will be not only like the fast people who have already turned around and are on the way back, but also there's like a long half marathon, as they call it, that just starts at Harlan and goes to Fourth Beach, and they start later in the day. Last year I started passing those people around here. Anyway, just going up Traverse Head. Probably be very windy at the top because it's the headland, the most exposed part. kind of reassuring when you can see the point that you're walking towards. See it getting closer through the remainder of the day. Get the last look down this part of the coast, I guess, because once I get over the other side then I'll be seeing the other part of the coast, which is behind me right now. I think, absent the wind, it would be a relatively nice day today. It's not too bad with the wind, but it is quite a strong wind. As I have said several times. Here is the lighthouse. It is the time of year where it's starting to get cold now. Thankfully, it's not like bitingly cold yet. So even with the strong wind, the temperature is more than tolerable. Strong winds coming down this side of the headland. Definitely enough to move me left or right by like a metre at a time. Hopefully that'll be the worst of it today, but the wind speed doesn't go down much, then higher sections of the cliff going towards Newquay, it'll be very bad there, I expect. I guess around Morgan Forth and Watergate Bay. We'll just have to wait and see. Not really been looking forward to going down along the beach down here. Hopefully it's not too waterlogged. Essentially going to be raining anyway. Not raining from the clouds, just raining from the sea, which is, in my opinion, worse distract yourself from it a bit, but when the water's coming from like below you or all around you, there's not much you can do. Beach doesn't look too bad if I stay relatively high up. Hopefully there's a convenient point to pass this little stream. Not sure how strong the current is. Parts of the cliff maybe must have fell. I know there were some quite unstable parts around here. Wonder if I can find out at some point. Of an adventure to find a decent crossing point. Struggling to see a bit with the glare from the sun. Looks like a bit down here maybe, where it spreads out. With all the sea spray today, it gets all over my glasses. It makes it very difficult to see, especially looking towards the sun, which I suppose is great because I'm roughly walking south for the next 3 days. So I guess there's going to be a lot of not quite being able to see, at least if it remains windy and there's a lot of sea spray. I'm just gonna have to like cross somewhere. There isn't a very good spot to do this. It's not the worst crossing ever in the end. I think I've got a splash of water in my feet, but not much. I did apply waterproofer to my shoes just yesterday. Maybe that makes a difference, but I think more realistically, I think the fabric is still mostly waterproof. That if any water gets in, it's probably around the seams. Just because these particular shoes have had a lot of use. And yes, I've said before that I will start wearing a new pair of shoes. I just haven't really got around to having a good opportunity to wearing a new pair, and I don't really want to do it when I'm going to be walking a long way multiple days in a row, because I just don't want to risk like getting a blister or something from a new pair, because they won't feel exactly the same as the shoes that I'm wearing, even if they are the same model of shoe. This is not snow. When it was that weather warning, this part was particularly bad. I think today will be no different. Quite amazing, but I don't want to say that it's going to feel very good. Okay, stick left on this section then. Try and remember that for when I come back here in December. Oh. Ah, not fun. Ah. Absolutely soaked. I guess the one saving grace is, with it being windy and sunny, can dry off relatively quickly. Still quite difficult. Other than the wind, everything's great, I guess. plenty of energy. Plenty of daylight left, I think. Probably try and have a quick drink and snack again very soon. I love how quiet everything is this time of year. To be like walking on the paths and you see someone every like half an hour. Nice look down the beach. Out of the wind momentarily. It's not really a good place to stop around here though. Then when I get up to the end it'll be exposed again, so the wind will start getting really strong. Probably just have to deal with it. And grab a drink up around the corner here. There is a bench not too much further along. Guess I will stop here for a minute. View back to the lighthouse. So we continue on. Must remind myself, I guess, not to get sourdough bread for tomorrow. It takes like 20 minutes to get through a sandwich because it's so chewy. I guess I wasn't really paying attention to what bread that I bought yesterday. I just went into the shop and picked something up. It's fine. Just looking at those waves over there. briefly kind of out of the wind. The trees are taking the force of it for me. It is basically a case of like walking while leaning sideways at the moment. I think it was supposed to calm down at some point this afternoon, but I don't remember when. You can see right there where it's just really bad in that one spot. Wind currents around the coast are really something. There's another bit just here. To avoid being pushed towards the barbed wire. See a lot of sea spray right here. I can feel it. Going to get soaking wet. This beautiful part of the coast. We'll be going down into Morgan Porth soon. Then up and along to Watergate Bay, then to Porth, and finally Newquay. best. To be fair, I've been at a pretty good pace all day, other than the couple of times that I stopped, obviously. It's just those few places where the gusts are really strong. Like, slows you right down. Last time I walked across that beach when the winds were strong, it was absolutely horrible. Getting soaked by the sea. Don't think it's quite that bad right now. The sea is quite far out. Last time it was a lot closer in. About to go down onto the beach, then we'll be going up the cliff on the other side. It's alright down here actually. I guess it's mostly sheltered from the wind, which is coming a bit more from the south. So not getting soaked while walking across this beach this time. Just a few more climbs left to do today. But it's not too much. The next two like uphill bits along here both have steps. Has been a really nice day for looking at the sea. Wholly intentional stop there. Where the wind is strongest, it does blow me around. You're going to have to forgive me if I don't film too much up here because it's just too windy and I'm trying not to be blown around. It's also very slippery in some places. down to Watergate Bay, then up the other side, as you do like everywhere along the coast. You go down and then you go up to the other side. And then just a bit further along to Port and Newquay. Is this like flooding or something? Be done about that or not. That will definitely be something to watch out for when I do the run. Foot goes down those ditches, you'll have a very bad time. This is nice. Wonder if there's a good way around the fence here. I have got here in plenty of time. This is giving me like a bit of nostalgia for when I recorded my first video on my channel. It's like 5 weeks out from the shortest day of the year. Walking down into Porth at the end of the day, although in that video this part of the path that I've just walked down wasn't open at the time because it was closed off at the top over there. So I was walking down along the bottom there. But still, I think that was a little later in the day though. I think in that one I arrived down here at 4:15 or something. It's not long after 3:30 right now. I think with the way the wind is blowing, I can get a look at the waves here without getting too wet. look at the waves here. Wow. Definitely worth coming to see stuff like this. There's very little in this world quite so wonderful as the sea. Come out to the edge of the island. Isn't that amazing? What I never got to do in that first video that I recorded was go and watch the sunset. Wonder if I have time to get to that headland that's currently in a straight line away from where I am. It's not too far from here. Also stay here, but in this wind I don't really want to be staying still for too long. Oh, that was a big wave. I know because I'm getting wet. I got some coffee from that cafe in that first video when I came here. They are closed today. Perhaps they only open on weekends, out of season. I don't know. I was surprised to see the Beach Box Cafe at Harlyn was open this morning. I assumed that would be something that's only open on weekends out of season, but I guess they are still open. To be honest, I wouldn't really have even expected them to be open on weekends, but I think the Beach Box in Wadebridge is still open weekends. I do like these information boards. I would love to stay and read through the whole thing, but I'm not going to do that right now. I feel like every time I pass here I read like one random bit of it. Maybe most of it might be visible on the camera. Maybe I can just read it later. I've come up out of the pool into Newquay now. just missing it, but also it's coming in too cloudy. Not 100% sure. So I can see like the clouds back there being lit by the sunlight. But the sun could be below the horizon, or it's behind the Empire headland. Either way, I'm not going to be able to see it. So, I guess with that, this is a good place to end part 1, day 1. So all that remains to be said